And welcome to the special edition of Hannity, the Russia Boomerang. In just moments, we have a studio audience full of experts. We're going to break down the swinging pendulum of justice. Now, for 2+ years, Democrats, the deep state, the media mob all working together. What? First, to stop one person from becoming president, then take down a duly elected president of the United States with conspiracy theories and a Russian hoax. Tonight, the president remains unscathed, and those who abuse their power, those involved in corruption, will now be held accountable. Now, this does include Special Counsel Robert Mueller. We expect he will appear on Capitol Hill for a public hearing. As the Attorney General Barr has pointed out, Democrats, they're hoping to turn this testimony into a spectacle. For Nadler, for the cowardly Schiff, one more excuse to try and smear Trump. But for Republicans, this hearing is a golden opportunity to ask the questions that need to be asked of Robert Mueller, to hold him accountable. We, the American people, we deserve answers to all the pressing questions that our government has totally ignored and the media mob has ignored. Mueller must answer, why did he hire a team full of Democratic donors? Not one Republican available? Why would he ever hire, in this case, Hillary Clinton's former attorney? Why did he hire this guy, Andrew Weissmann, guy who's withheld exculpatory evidence in the past, a Clinton-loving partisan hack? He was there the night of Clinton's, victory party that never happened. A record full of prosecutorial misconduct. Why did Mueller have time to investigate, taxi medallions, loan applications, FARA violations, tax fraud? But he didn't look at the dirty dossier, the lying to a FISA court, the premeditated fraud committed on a court to spy on a presidential campaign. Why was the probe never into Hillary Clinton's bought and paid for Russian lies? Or what about Christopher Steele with his Russian lies that he put together? What about Glenn Simpson, Fusion GPS? What about the Clinton campaign's coordination with the government of Ukraine that we have pointed out? Now, keep in mind, people like Michael Cohen, Paul Manafort, Lieutenant General Michael Flynn, George Papadopoulos, all charged with crimes totally unrelated to collusion or a conspiracy with Russia to impact the 2016 campaign. Yet, in an investigation supposedly about collusion and corruption, no one connected to Clinton, the DNC, their phony Russian-sourced op research. How did you ignore all of that, Mr. Mueller? Does Robert Mueller hate President Trump? Did he hire people that hate President Trump for a reason, then candidate Trump? Now, is this why he pursued an investigation into obstruction even after there was no underlying crime of conspiracy or collusion? And why is Mueller given contradictory statements on the topic of obstruction? Is he being pressured by Andrew Weissmann? Did he forget? Did he not remember what he said? Did he even write that 9.5-minute rambling press conference? You know, at the end of the day, is Rob Mueller really proud of his 22-month witch hunt that really did nothing than give fuel to what are rampant conspiracy theories, lies, propaganda, misinformation? For example, there's a whole channel, Conspiracy Channel, MSDNC, or Fake News, CNN. No president in this country should ever have to face this kind of flawed, partisan, phony, conspiracy-oriented investigation ever again. It shouldn't happen. And thankfully tonight, the boomerang of justice is in full swing. We have separate investigations into FISA abuse, deep state misconduct, corruption, and leaks. And the origins of the Russian probe are all well underway. And according to reports, the HOROWITZ investigation into FISA abuse is nearly done. That was until the 11th hour. Christopher Steele finally agreed to be interviewed. Now, the former MI6 agent, author of Hillary's dirty dossier, was allegedly grilled for nearly 16 hours over the course of 2 days in Great Britain. There's some speculation that Steele was worried that high-ranking U.S. officials were ready to throw him under the bus. And Steele probably wanted to set the record straight about how his dirty Russian dossier that Clinton paid for was created and utilized in the lead-up to the 2016 presidential election. Now, this is likely very bad news for people, names you know well: Jim Comey, Andrew McCabe, Strzok, Page, and Baker, and so many others. People that were using Steele's unverified and frankly unverifiable Russian garbage to then spy on an opposition party candidate, Donald Trump, his campaign. Then it became the Trump transition team and even the Trump presidency. The whole FISA warrant that was anything but verified and accurate. We now know everybody was warned. They were told ahead of time, whoa, Christopher Steele hates Trump, Hillary paid for it, and none of it's verified. But then they used it in a premeditated way to commit a massive fraud on a FISA court. Not once, but then 3 subsequent renewal applications were filed as well. We have big problems in the deep state, but they're now being exposed.